You know, welcome back to the Ashish and Ryan Sports Podcast. Obviously, great summer day in the OH of the IO. Um, Welcome back, everybody. Great summer day. Summer's just started. NBA Finals Game 2. Lots of stuff to be looking forward to, guys. NBA draft pretty soon, and the NFL is a 24/7 league, so obviously lots of stuff in that as well. Anyway, we so this guy Cassius Marsh, Cassius Marsh, and it seems like a lot of people have been looking to rain on the Patriots. Oh, you you were you're so disciplined. It's not fun. There's a fun way. There's a new way to do things, and it's enjoyable. And it's gonna be a dynasty, and you don't rule the NFL anymore. Look, I will say this. I never believed, okay, that I never believed that there is a way to win championships, a way to win Super Bowls. You need good players. That's the truth of the matter. And you need smart players. Honestly, let's look at it like it's the New England Patriots should have lost to Seattle. They should have lost to Atlanta. Right? It's on the players, but it's also on the coaching and the play calling and things of that nature. So I'm not here to say that the Patriot way is the only way of winning a championship. I will say this, that a model of consistency, for it to be disrespected so early after it barely loses one championship after winning 5. Again, I think that's premature. I think the Patriots, again, are favorites to win the Super Bowl. May still win the Super Bowl. But for me, it's not about the culture or the I think the culture is not an indictment on, let's say, Seattle's inability to win the football game or Atlanta's inability to beat New England in their Super Bowl, their all-time collapse. But it's an indictment on the fact that they haven't been able to recover, at least in the short term, after losing the Super Bowl in that fashion. Tom Brady has lost 2 heartbreaking Super Bowls, 2007, 2011. But there's still a model of consistency. They've still gotten back. They've still won. So again, I think the culture is more of an indictment on the long-term success, on the long-term consistency of the squad. And it's not even winning another Super Bowl. It's about maintaining composure, maintaining ground, so that, and you've seen this more often, that because a lot of the new good teams are young and athletic, They are competitive, semi-competitive, competitive, or either very competitive in the race to get back to the Super Bowl and win it. I think the culture separates whether... I don't think culture separates winning and losing that football game. I think culture separates what you do after losing a big playoff game or after losing a Super Bowl. How you respond the next season as a model of consistency compared to the Patriots. Right? That is more of the indictment against the anti-patriot culture. Of the fun-loving type of culture. It doesn't translate, okay, to, hey, we're in the Super Bowl. We screw up, that's an indictment on our culture. No, the indictment on your culture as a team, on your discipline as a team, is not the actual game. Because if you look at a lot of these games, they've been very competitive. And it's not necessarily mental errors or mental gaffes, right, that have cost these coaches games. But it's more of a, hey, we just blank out situationally and we do stupid things. Which it seems to happen against the Patriots more than anybody else. Look at Pittsburgh, right? Look at Pittsburgh against New England in the regular season. And let's give New England credit. They're prepared for whatever situation and whatever time, whatever speed, right? Obviously, it's not just a culture thing. You can have a great culture, but if you don't prepare well enough, you're not going to win. So it's about preparation and culture. But, once again, I think it's just coaches outthinking themselves because they believe that Belichick is smarter than them. I believe this, that coaches that use a game plan that worked for 3 quarters somehow find a way to screw it up in the last quarter. I think that's psyche. I think that's mental. I don't think that has anything to do with preparation. I don't think that has anything to do with culture. I think coaches, if Bill Belichick starts to get a little bit momentum, if a crowd starts to get back into a game, I think coaches just wilt, and it's young coaches. It's lack of winning experience coaches. In terms of, hey, I haven't won over a long period of time. Mike Tomlin, right? Andy Reid, again, not a renowned winner. He went to a Super Bowl once, but isn't a consistent big-time winner. Pete Carroll won in USC, but he had the most talent. And what that lasted for prime 3-4 years at the max. It wasn't a dynastic 20-30 years. I built a culture here type of thing. It lasted for 3, 4, 5 years. And then same deal with him in the NFL. Defense is getting older, the guys are leaving, remaking the offense. Didn't make the playoffs this past year. So, it's honestly just common sense, not being intimidated, and being experienced. That separates the Patriots apart from everybody else. I'm not going to get into... Again, I think there are different ways, there are different philosophies to win a Super Bowl. It's not about the culture. People overrate this idea of cultural discipline within an organization. Fun, crazy teams with polarizing personalities have won Super Bowls before. It affects them when they lose, not just a Super Bowl, but a big playoff game or a big tipping point moment. That's when culture affects them. But to act like cultures, again, as I say, Seattle, use common sense, you're two-time Super Bowl champions, that nucleus stays intact, everybody's happy, you're probably one of the top contenders. Atlanta, use common sense, your team wins a Super Bowl, you have a nucleus to get back, be successful. I'm not saying you guys go back and win a Super Bowl, but at least they're consistent, right? That's the same thing with Philadelphia. So I think it's much more than just, hey, we should slam this guy because he thinks New England isn't fun, which it isn't fun, but you win. There are more than one way to win. I think Atlanta, even in losing, showed that. I think Philadelphia obviously showed that. New England's won 5 Super Bowls in 17 years. There have been 12 other Super Bowl winners. So again, it's, say whatever you want, but let's not automatically yell at this guy, alright? I mean, there are ways, more than one way to win a Super Bowl. There are more than one way to be great. It's just that at some point, consistency boils down to traits that everyone must have. And if you don't have it, you're never going to be consistently great. But let's not act as if you can't win if you don't play the Patriots' way. You can't win consistently. Generally, you can't win consistently. But you can still win. I mean, that's no one should even question that. But anyway, Cassius Marsh said something. Let me read this to you. It's a pretty big article. When Cassius Marsh was claimed off waivers from New England last November, the veteran defensive end recently told the San Francisco Chronicle he called, as in, I called this happening, right? I called that the shot was going to go in. I called bank, that type of thing. He called, air quotes, Garoppolo's late season emergence before it happened. I knew because I was with the Patriots and he would shred our defense every day. Marsh explained. He'd shred the first team every day, and it looked no different than when Tom Brady was on the field. He's a much better athlete than Tom. He's super disciplined and works hard. I'm very happy to have him as my quarterback. Bill Belichick said in November of 2016, quote, insisting the transition was, quote, really seamless when Garoppolo stood in for the suspended Brady during the practice drills. Certainly we have a good quarterback in Jimmy, Belichick added. And Jimmy could go out there and run anything that Tom can run. We've seen that. Alright, look. I'm not here to talk to you about the dysfunction in New England. The perceived dysfunction, the outlined dysfunction, none of that. Okay? You've already heard that story too many times. For me to repeat it would be stupid. It would literally be just saying what other people have been saying. I'm going to spin this a little bit. New England is our present-day model of consistency. Right? We look at them and say, hey, they're consistently great on on so many levels. Right? But who really has been the model of consistency in the NFL throughout their history? Who? The Dallas Cowboys. Not the last 20 years, but I'm talking about 1960 to now. The Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do all three of those franchises have in common? And obviously the Jerry Jones situation is different because he's extremely loyal. He holds grudges. He's just a different type of personality as an owner. But notwithstanding that, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Dallas, what have they all done? Even recent memory. Because they have a culture as a franchise. They have a reputation as a franchise. What have they all done? They found a successor before the predecessor is done. Before you can tell, okay, he's washed up, he's gone. Aaron Rodgers is there while Brett Favre is still in his prime. 3-4 years during that time. Pittsburgh drafts Ben Roethlisberger. Obviously he gets his shot over pretty good Tony Maddox. Journeyman at the time, but pretty good player. Dak Prescott gets the shot over Tony Romo. Those are just three recent examples of the type of decisions that franchises make who aren't reliant on the success of one player. Alright, look, let's be real, okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers had multiple good quarterbacks. Obviously, you have Maddox. You have Cordell. Cordell Stewart was a good player. Bradshaw, obviously, great player. Roethlisberger, great player. But they drafted Mason Rudolph. And what did the Green Bay Packers do with Aaron Rodgers? They drafted him for Brett Favre because they knew, look, these are old guys, they're gunslingers, they're going to wear down, they're going to hurt themselves. We've got to have a guy ready that is physically and mentally tough enough to take the load. Okay, this is the difference between the Steelers and the Patriots. Tom Brady is gone, the Patriots will be nothing. Because Robert Kraft owes all his success to Tom Brady without actually following a model of generational consistency. You can talk about consistency in terms of winning, but generational consistency means that you have coaches down the line that if there's instability in the coaching ranks, there you go. You got your new coach pretty soon. If there is instability, there shouldn't be instability in the front office because these are cultural organizations. These are family-run organizations, specifically with the Rooney family. Right? And when we see guys that are getting older, i.e. a Hines Ward type player, we're going to get a Mike Wallace. We're going to get a Antonio Brown. When we see a head case in Martavis Bryant, we're going to get a Juju Smith-Schuster. Right? And those are recent examples. But when we see an aging and uncertain future for Ben Roethlisberger, we're going to get Mason Rudolph. Big, strong, huge arm, very accurate, learns an NFL offense. He'll be a good player. Fits right into the Steelers mold. Le'Veon Bell's a head case. We're going to get James Conner. Good player out of Pittsburgh. We're going to be ready in case this stuff happens to replace. Right? But the New England Patriots were successful because they followed this formula. All the way until the quarterback position was on the helm. Obviously, you know the stories. Kraft went to Belichick, said, no, we're not trading Tommy. Because Tommy's our guy. Tommy rode with us to the top. He's going to stay as long as he wants. And they traded away Jimmy Garoppolo for a sack of peanuts. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a 15-year star, Hall of Famer with a bunch of weapons. More athletic, can get outside the pocket, is more dimensional than Tom Brady is, has a stronger arm. And you threw away your future because of loyalty. And it's not like the Steelers and the Packers aren't loyal. They say, look, we encourage you to step away. We're going to give you the great treatment. Our fans are going to give you the great treatment. We're going to make sure you leave the right way. But if you're going to get offended by the fact that we have a contingency plan, if this farewell tour doesn't work the way we want it, if we are not the model of consistency that we've always been, we're going to be prepared to replace you on every level, even if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, even if you're the greatest quarterback to ever play. We have guys that will come in and step up and make plays. That's why the Packers, that's why the Cowboys, that's why the Steelers have been successful for 50 years. 5-0. New England's have only been successful for 20, and because they threw away their future, they'll probably have to wait another 30 to become relevant again. Alright, this is the Ashish Narayan Sports Podcast. It's under the title Sports and Political Podcast. But coming up next, our last two segments of the day. Why Aaron Rodgers has no leverage, why he should have leverage, and who I think may be one of the biggest busts in the modern day era. Coming up in this year's NBA draft. This is the Ashish Narayan Sports and